And we having businessmen milk complain. Ila kulun kanale fu banjol. Ibuka jino ebuka la bagaso jin. They turn back. Ekatafen gold drop into Senegal. Gambia bagaso kajisen. Omasi bolet.
Dr. Ture contributed immensely to the failure of Adam Barrow regime from 2017 to 2020.
Manke mola foye ko babun wok monkey it bar ko metela jero yaje ko wala be tamakan NPP kono.
Yes, ngajale because ya kende fangola I was victimized. Who? The party executive. President ya bulobula among intervene because atele sonta yenna the political campaign.
Baro e muno famoni ning arta hanarta komen ko abe jaralale we transport people from Mali, Sierra Leone and other countries but we are going to do it. Pour ka mol transport ni nalana can support for 5 years oni moesia crowd
bari ita fono la ko ha minister la jodo atale ngati nga minister tal allowance la fa mol membe duma minister patata nyaonya mol membe marché auto jendan jaay o famasol do Sénégal membe bolon kono wolle patata minister ti woton te balafa no la minister e ka fo minister la jodo atale nga balafa wanto director la jodo atale nga balafa.
Yaya has the political power. Yaya has the political popularity in the Gambia. Hanebi molbe lafring alale anu hanebi ala yamoro na futa molka.
Let it be put straight that marriage should be between a man and a woman only if they reach the age of 18 and above, or if they reach maturity, because people could be matured before they reach 18.
So every year, the GFF receives $1 million from FIFA, $500,000 in January, and another $500,000 in July.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are watching or listening to us from. You are watching the Infobai show on the Gambian Talents TV, brought to you by your host, Usman Juf. It's been a minute, getting in my gist, but I have to come back on air. Yaganalen Kowa, Nelen $2 mention no pay roughly. I love this and would love to do it, but all this while I've been very busy. It's 2023. Happy New Year to everybody that is watching us wherever you are. We are here for a special thing, and this is to talk about the security concerns in the Gambia. Ak li nga xamne mo nek di go on suñu deka. Lately, the Gambia has been going through a roller coaster with so many different things happening, from individual citizens, security threats, stealings, armed robberies. I mean, you name it. But on another note, there are also security concerns. As a couple of weeks ago, or in mid-December, we woke up to an alleged coup that was taking place, or that was about to take place, or a coup that was foiled by the armed forces of the Gambia. And of course, the next day, we saw the government spokesperson releasing a statement, and several things followed. A couple of days later, we heard that one of the political figures in the country, in the person of Momodou Lamin Faye, was arrested, and detained. He was there for almost a couple of weeks, eventually released a day or two before the New Year's. In the studio with us, Mr. Lamin Faye, here in Seattle, Washington, who has a security background, and we'll be talking to Mr. Faye about the security issues in the Gambia and the whole 9 yards. Welcome to the Gambian Talents TV, Mr. Faye.
Thank you, Mr. Juve, and thank you for having me over.
And first off, I would like to ask you, a lot of people may be surprised seeing ML Faye on TV talking about security in the Gambia.
Right.
Who is ML Faye? And what authority do you have to talk about the security concerns in the Gambia?
Well, ML Faye, first of all, hello, Gambia. ML Faye, I studied criminal justice, and I focused on law enforcement, emergency management, and national security crisis and law enforcement crisis, homeland security, and also correction. And also, I'm working alongside of my business, a job that I cannot talk about, basically.
A job you cannot talk about. Are you an FBI agent?
Oh, no, I'm not.
Well, are you an FBI agent? I cannot have you in my studio. You cannot come here and hide. Are you an FBI agent?
I'm not.
Do you work for the CIA?
No.
Huh? Do you work for Homeland Security?
No, I'm not.
I ain't getting no papers. How much paid? Can you tell us?
No, I cannot tell you.
Are you selling our people?
No.
What do you do? Tell us the job you do in
Honestly, I cannot talk about it. It's nothing major. It's nothing major, really. It's just my professional job on the side, but it's nothing like that.
Man, how much paid? No. Are you an agent of this?
No.
You're not gonna tell us.
No, I mean, I don't.
But in a nutshell, you studied law enforcement. You focus on law enforcement. You studied criminal justice.
Right.
From where?
So I got my Associate of Applied Science in Criminal Justice from Black Hawk Technical College in Janesville, Wisconsin, and then I went to University of Wisconsin in Milwaukee, and then I later transferred to Upper Iowa University, where I obtained my Bachelor's of Science degree in Criminal Justice, and I graduated with honor.
You focus on
law enforcement, emergency management, homeland security, corrections as well, and minor in psychology.
So that gives you the authority then to talk about security lapses, security loopholes, security corrections, security, successes and failures, right?
Yes. As a matter of fact, that's part of my studies.
Okay. Well, a couple of weeks ago, Gambia generally lately has been so insecure, and people are comparing. Just last week, my team in Gambia did a vox pop in which people were comparing Adama Barrow's government and Yahya Jammeh's government. In your view, which government do you think is better, or the Gambia is more secure under the Yahya Jammeh's government or Adama Barrow's government?
Well, on the security part of it, when it comes to the security, peace, and stability of the country, I would say Yahya Jammeh, to be honest.
And how is that so?
Because we all know how many Yahya Jammeh, but he never compromised with the security and stability of the country. I think the difference between former President Yahya Jammeh and President Barrow is that Yahya Jammeh would make it known to the people that he's not going to compromise the security and stability of the people in the Gambia. Versus Barrow.
So what is happening under Adama Barrow that didn't happen during Yahya Jammeh? That makes you say that Adama Barrow's time, Yahya Jammeh's time was more secure?
Well, our security right now is compromised.
How?
Because our own security personnel of intel, that is, they're being undermined. And when you undermine your people, there is no loyalty. For example, I know people are going to say, well, our neighboring country came to rescue us, to help us out, right? But Nikki di ñëw sa képp dima nga ne ko kaay si cabinet bi then ku nekk si cabinet nga ko demal si saal bi. There is one thing that people don't understand in the Gambia. Intelligence gathering is very important. So that I guess the people who are in our state house, they might be gathering intel for their country too, while acting like they're helping us. And another thing that our people, our security system do not understand is this. As a security personnel, you just don't look at today, tomorrow. You look at 60 years down from now, our next generation, our kids, right? For example, we might come across natural resources. And if we come across those secrets, and for some reason the foreign security services who are who are currently occupied in our state house might stumble onto that. What do you think going to happen? They're going to pass the information to their people because their loyalty falls back to their people,
their country, right?
Yes.
Origin. Didn't you actually, Mr. Faye? I was asking you about locally. Gambia League in Paragal. I sit here and people in Seattle tell me, I want to go to Gambia. Do you know any security firm? I want to hire personal bodyguards. I work so hard for my money and I am scared to go to Gambia and flash it and spend it and show what I got. I buy expensive jewelry and stuff for myself and my wife, but we are scared to go. I can hire a security person that will go with me to eat what I eat, hang out with me, and do all the good things just because I want to be safe and secured. People buy their stuff and take it to Gambia, or they're there locally, have businesses, and those businesses get attacked. I mean, locally, people are scared. Even this New Year's, I was having a show right here with my team who were at Westfield, who were at Senegambia, who were at Banjul, and all of them reported to me in some of the semesters they talked to people from the diaspora, told them that just talk here. One of the concerns was traffic, the other one was Pundabi, and but most importantly, security concerns. So security they can be internally. It used to be mostly for them soldariang. I mean, of course, I mean a lot of people will argue, yes, that was good and bad at the same time. Is that the reason why the country was more secure? Because Yaya Jammeh had, I mean, Isoldar all over on the streets or checkpoints instead of police and stuff, because internal security should be in the hands of police.
That's correct. I think in both government, they both made mistakes in terms of enforcing laws and protecting people and their property. Me personally, a personal friend of mine, like a friend of mine was about to go to Gambia, and he came to me and asked me if I know anyone in the security company in Gambia that provides personal bodyguard because of that. So my security assessment based on that, I mean, we need to change the way we enforce laws because in the Gambia they do reactive enforcement instead of proactive enforcement. And again, that brings me back to national security. National security is not just about the government federally. It also has to do with the people and their properties, right? So by creating a system whereby law enforcement officials would do proactive policing than reactive policing. So reactive policing basically means that you wait till a crime is committed and now you're wondering, oh my God, what are we doing? They need to come up with sting operations. Like here in America, when there's crime in a region, what they do, they will create or come up with sting operations and broadcast that way, because you're trying to get in the criminal's mind that, hey, if I go commit a crime here, it might be a setup. Police might be there, so you are keeping them guessing. So if you don't keep the bad guy guessing and you make them feel comfortable, what do you think is going to happen? If they know our whole security system and law enforcement system is basically is based on reactive enforcement, how are we ever going to solve crime? Another important thing is this: policing, like 99.9% of the time, crimes are solved by people, not law enforcement.
In Gambia, yes.
So even everywhere you go,
justice, right?
Yeah. So what you do, you create a dialogue. You start to do community policing more often by talking to people and asking them, and create patrol vehicles. And you train officers whereby they can actually pull people over and check their credentials. We need to have system whereby once they catch you, we have the opportunity to have your fingerprints and everything in the database.
Gambia, the police, a crime committed, and the police will ask the victim to pay for the taxi.
It happened to me.
You to arrest the person, or I mean, the victim or the perpetrator will be the one to. I mean,
it happened to me.
Right.
I used my own vehicle,
Right.
Transporting the suspect
yes,
from one station to another.
Right.
And imagine I was in Gambia on a holiday.
Right.
So I spent my whole holiday going to court back and forth.
Right.
I didn't even enjoy my holiday.
Interesting.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So in terms of our law enforcement strategies, we need to work on it. That way it can meet the standards of the international level. Mm-hmm. But at this point, we are behind. Mm-hmm. At this point, nobody is being held accountable. Mm-hmm. Nobody, what I mean, nobody by making sure that every department, every head of department, I mean, you are promoted to be head of department for a reason. Mm-hmm. You are there to oversee everything that's happening in your department. And honestly, sometimes we tend to blame the president because that's what we've known all our lives, right? In a president, right? But at the end of the day, sometimes they could because he cannot be at State House and overseeing other small departments across the country.
But at the end of the day, the buck lies in his hands because the buck stops at him because Momoy, the head of state, he's the one that was voted into and had the oversight function
to supervise everything. Mm-hmm. And another before we get to all whole stuff, another thing more, I mean, letting friendship get in his way. Mm-hmm. There was this incident that I looked at because, like I said, I've been in the shadows for so long. Mm-hmm. I've been monitoring, and I'm like, man, what are these people doing? Mm-hmm. But then I think it's time for people like me who have experience in things like this, like if there was a medical expert in some situation, and then they want to come out and try to manipulate the situation. This person should come out and say, use their expertise and say, hey, look, now this is not how it should work. And this way, we will put them a check at all times, because before they come out to make a statement, they will think about it. But nobody puts them a check. Right. So this incident I'm talking about, and this was actually this like something that everybody knew when somebody and a government official abused their government power, their office to commit adultery, right? So as a leader, you're supposed to make that person resign to show the next person that comes in.
About here?
Yeah.
Who are you talking about?
I forgot his name, and this man actually committed this adultery on someone who was married too.
Are you talking about the Birkama?
Yes.
Case?
And then something like that.
Today than ever.
Yes. So that's a political suicide on Barre's side. He doesn't know this.
So
see, people understand.
Didn't care. They just let the report slide, right?
And this is a political suicide because I heard the man on a recording. He stated, "Man, of my life, I ain't like a bucket." And then now everybody heard that. But mom said of because any respectful man won't talk to a woman like that. But the way he did it, you could tell that this man, oh my God. And for so you kill for you. Saying they don't do none of that. Because they feel like now big man. So going back to what happened, the decision that Barrow should have made in this case, Moy, ask him to resign quietly. This way, when another person comes in, they will learn.
So to you, Dal, it comes back to the same thing. Teach them a lesson. Be proactive rather than reactive.
Yes, teach them a lesson. Think about it. If I come here and work, and I undermine your business, and you just let me slide because we're friends, are people who work with you ever gonna work with you and respect you?
Not necessarily.
Exactly. Same thing comes to me. I've had incident where I've hired some people, my fellow Gambians. They came with the mindset of Kiki Gambia. I'm just going to show up anytime I like. I said, no, you're not going to do that with my business. You have 2 15-minute break and 1.5 hour. You know what I'm saying? Because, and then I've had some people who reach out and say, oh, I'm not doing your demand. I'm like, no. When you come, I'll pay you. You're not helping me. This is a job. So because of this, everybody knows it about me. Now, psychologically speaking, when people don't get their way, what do they say in Gambia? How about affair? Because they're not getting their way. Right. So as a leader, I want Mr. Burr.
You should have authority.
You should have authority and balance it differently when this is my friend. Because if you're my friend or my family, don't put me in a situation where I would have to choose between you and my job.
So are you saying, in other words, that is it true to say that there's corruption in every level and sector of our government and our political dynamics?
The corruption part, yes, because corruption comes in different forms.
Mhm.
A department not being structured, you are you leaving a door open for corruption, because if any structured department wouldn't even have the chance, would have a less probability of corruption being in that department.
Well, the person you are talking about here, Sirifo Sonko,
Right.
that happens to be a junior staff that he was giving opportunities to travel and go places. So corruption, abuse of office,
Yes.
and all of those things.
That's part of corruption.
This is, I mean, at every level, including
That's part of
security
corruption.
sector, right?
So yeah, the reason why I say it has all different forms, because of when it comes to the money part, I'm not there. So, and I'm the kind of person, I want to make sure that whatever I say, it's not going to be I feel. Well, it's a great point that you mentioned that abusing their power, and then the person letting them use this power, saying that, oh, I don't want to go to UDP, I'm doing your. But you didn't tell him, you didn't tell that man who committed that incident to go and abuse his power. So that's how you hold people accountable. See, so I've had situations within my family, sir. That I guess when people come and try to emotionally blackmail, I'm focused on the facts. You shouldn't have done this. You shouldn't have put yourself in that situation. But the way they look at it, am I your money? It's not your money.
Yes.
Because if you don't let them know,
interrogate it.
Yeah, it is what it is. You do this. If you do good, you get rewarded. If you do bad, you have to face the consequences, basically.
Right. Well, I mean, that's good. We move on to the next thing. On December 20th is when word came out. In fact, I was here in the office when somebody called me and said, we have information, rumors circulating that there is an attempted coup in Gambia.
Yes.
Same day, I contacted Ibrahim Sankare, the government spokesperson. I contacted Amiboyan Sisoko and asked them about the situation, since, I mean, of course, it involves the government. We don't just jump and put things out there.
Right.
I didn't hear from Amiboyan, but the next morning, the 21st, Sankare sent a release, I guess, after several journalists reached out to him. And I will read what the government press release said. It says, the Gambia government statement on alleged coup plot by soldiers of the Gambia Armed Forces from Banjul, the Gambia. The Gambia government announces that based on intelligence reports that some soldiers of the Gambia Armed Forces were plotting to overthrow the democratically elected government of President Adama Barrow. The Gulf High Command, in a swift military operation conducted yesterday, arrested 4 soldiers linked to this alleged coup plot. The apprehended soldiers are currently helping the military police with their investigations. Meanwhile, the army is in pursuit of 3 more alleged accomplices. Investigations into this matter are continuing, and members of the public would be accordingly informed of any developments as the situation unfolds. Citizens, residents, and members of the Diplomatic Consular Corps are urged to carry on with their normal activities as the situation is under total control and there is no need to panic. Signed, Ibrahim G. Sankare, the Gambia government spokesperson and presidential diaspora advisor. This was the first ever official correspondence that comes out of government.
Right.
Your take on this?
Well, my take on this, they have made lots of mistakes. And I have 4 things that I have observed throughout the whole process, right? And one of them happens to be a political suicide on Barrow's side. Because this
on this particular statement, I need that they said. This first statement, they released multiple statements.
Right.
I will come to the other ones, but this first one, of course, what is your take on this? They just came out and said, okay, there was an alleged coup plot yesterday. Members of the armed forces, went after them. They have held some people who are helping the government with investigations. 3 people are on the run. We are asking everybody to go about their business and then panic. This is all that they said.
To me, it's not valid. A statement like that is not valid. Any security person that listens to that, there's a language in the security field. Okay, it's just kind of like when you're interrogating somebody, you listen to them, you listen to the story. The story can tell a lot. Like, for example, the person writing the story, some people would put themselves and say, like, for example, Nimalingana smart. Someone they're going to believe that without considering the fact that there are other people out there who are going to pick every word out, every word that you say, and analyze that, and then reconstruct everything that you said and said, yeah, that's valid or not, that's bogus. And in this case, that is bogus.
Why is it bogus, though, in your view?
Because when it comes to national intelligence gathering, especially something big like that, you don't rush into conclusion. The reason why you don't rush into conclusion, it's because you want to make sure that the head of the snake is cut off.
Yeah, but there were lots of rumors circulating, and citizens demanded information. Journalists like us reached out to them to find out what was going on and stuff. So they owed the public to give them information. And this is coming from government spokesperson.
Because of this, they created a whole chaos.
No name is mentioned.
Yes, they created a whole chaos.
Okay.
That tells you that they didn't conduct the investigation properly. They rushed into judgment thinking that this regime is the same regime like Yahya Jammeh, because during Yahya Jammeh's time, most people were not educated in things like this. We even still now, some people believe it's government law, definitely, without digging further and gather the facts. See, the reason why there are so many speculations in this, it's because of that statement. The statement did not give a lot of did not give a lot of information and say, hey, like, for example, right, would say, we've been conducting, we received information on alleged coup, and we've been conducting our investigation and stuff, and this is what we've come up with. Physical and digital evidence. There's no physical and digital evidence in that statement.
Okay, that was the first one released.
Right.
Now let me ask you this question. Was it in fact right? In this case, this involves a coup d'etat. For the government, who do you think should have come out first? Who should have authority? Should it have been the military? Eventually, we'll get to that. The military spokesperson came out and they had a press briefing. But in this case, 3 to 4 first correspondents that came out about this issue all came out from government spokesperson. So should it have been the military that should have come out and said this, or should it have been government?
If this was a structured system, they would respect chain of command, which means they will pass the intel to the SIS, which controls the national security of the Gambia. And then now the SIS director would then dispatch his, is it he, right? His people to further investigate and gather more intel. And then he would determine when to come out and say this and this and this was happening and this is happening. So just because somebody is a government spokesperson doesn't mean that everything that happens in the Gambia, he or she should come out. They have departments, like the White House. The White House spokesperson talks about the things that the White House does, you know, or involved in, right? The FBI spokesperson. So why can't we have system like that?
In other words, it was GAF that should have the authority.
Right. So the GAF are intelligence officers, because this is intel. This is because the job of the SIS is to make sure that the peace and stability, security, like coup, they are on top of things like that. Like in America, who investigates terrorist threats on American soil? The FBI. Do you hear the armed forces? Do you hear military police? No. And then if military were involved based on the investigation, then they will involve the military. You know what I mean?
So in this case, then it was GAF, because according to the statement, GAF is the one that was involved, and they had 3 suspects right now, and they're helping them with investigations. Others are on the run, and they were on the lookout for them. So, I mean, are you saying that GAF or another statement?
GAF is Army Forces. That's what I'm saying. It's SIS, the National Intelligence system.
Yes, wow, intelligence.
Intelligence. So GAF should have,
IA,
well, because this has nothing to do with the military pretty much. If you look at it, it's not an attempt to commit crime against the military.
But any crime committed by military officers, though, Mr. Faye, I mean, it's generally the military. It involves the military, and that is why, I mean, guys, they don't just arrest any military officer and take them to mile 2 or the regular places. The military intelligence will be the ones that would, I mean, handle these cases.
I get what you're saying.
Then, huh?
I get what you're saying. But at the same time, too, they need to corroborate their evidence with the people who are also in charge of the national security, which is the SIS. So let me ask you this. Then what is the job of the SIS in the Gambia?
Well, in this case, I mean, it involves military officers, and by default, don't you think that gives the military the authority for them to be in charge of the thing? And anything that involves military officers, they should be handled by the armed forces.
Because of this, it creates a bunch of speculation, though.
Okay.
Because there were no communication between the departments, the military department, the military intelligence, and the national security. See, national security is just not going. It's not about going solo. You're talking about national, because maybe the military, maybe the SIS had information that this was going on, if this was true, right? So it's, I get what you're saying. They are military personnel, right? The initial information might come from the GAF, right? Military police or whatever, right? But they should also take their time to corroborate and involve other intelligence department in the Gambia. That's what I'm saying.
The government spokesperson is talking about the information coming from the Gambia Armed Forces. The investigation. I mean, and the people that were apprehended were being held, I mean, in investigation at the military by the military police. Right?
I understand that. I understand what you're saying. We're on the same page. But I'm just saying, if we don't have a structured system, it leads to what's going on right now in the country.
Okay.
You get what I'm saying? I'm not disputing the fact that the military are not supposed to be involved. If you hear me, if you hear everything that I've been saying, I said the military intelligence service, they should have reach out to the SIS people, department who also take care of the national security of the country. So when you do that, I'm just saying it's more effective and it avoids.
But from an expert point of view, though, I mean, you seem to be talking now based on speculation. What evidence do you have? Because these people only came out to tell us the outcome. This is what happened, and we have gotten this information. I mean, this military Japan and help with investigation. But facts. You've said it earlier that anybody who talks should talk with authority, and that was the first thing I asked you. Now, what evidence do you have that there was no, collaboration, that the military, SIS, and the police intelligence have all not been talking, and one person? Obviously, do you think everybody should come out and just say their part? Put all their information and give it to one person to actually speak on their behalf.
I'm basically stating my professional opinion on this statement about the military police coming out and say we've helped this person. You asked me what my take was on this, and I said they've made a mistake by rushing into judgment. You know what I mean? That's what we're talking about.
But they already apprehended 3 people, and others are on the run. So the public should go back to their business. So it's like they already have, suspects here.
But then suspect comes with supporting evidence. So now, mind you, everybody is presumed innocent until proven guilty in the court of law.
Right.
And based on the statement that you've said to me right now, in that statement, I didn't hear anything about them obtaining physical or any digital evidence that connect these alleged people.
But if the matter is in court, if there is investigation going on and stuff, don't you think stating any of the evidence, can tamper with the process?
Well, what do you mean if the matter? So you mean if the matter is already in court right now, or
Well,
if
it's under investigation, either in court or under investigation right now? The alleged matter is still under investigation anyway.
But then that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
Statement to you.
In order to in order to have in order to investigate, you have to receive information that a crime is about to happen or has already happened, right? And then from there, the investigators will do their jobs, and then when they see any supporting evidence that this somebody might have committed a crime, then they will charge the person.
So, Matthew, they said this is in fact a foiled coup.
Okay.
So they already had intelligence and they foiled it before it happened. They didn't go to the extent of saying this day, that day is when it happens, whatsoever.
But then if that's the case, how come since this alleged coup happened, none of them has come out and say, oh, by the way, this is what we gathered during our investigation? Because they're not sure. Because if this was the case, they wouldn't come up with committee. They won't come up with a committee that will go and investigate in 30 days, which doesn't make sense, right? Because when it comes to intelligence, in what investigation that you see that has a limited time? You tell me that. So if they had evidence that all these occurred, or whatever they say happened, how come the investigation is everywhere? Since this investigation started, how come no physical or digital evidence or financial evidence has never been shown that, hey, look, we've got we've got all this digital and physical evidence that these people were involved. Even the
Let me go to the second one.
Okay.
This press release was dated the 21st December 2021.
Okay.
Updated version of the alleged coup plot.
Yeah.
The Gambia government statement on the alleged coup plot by soldiers of the Gambia Armed Forces, GAF, Banjul, the Gambia. The Gambia government announces that based on intelligence report that some soldiers of the Gambia Armed Forces were plotting to overthrow the democratically elected government of President Adama Barrow, the GAF High Command in a swift military operation conducted yesterday arrested 4 soldiers linked to this alleged coup plot. Those arrested are Lance Corporal Sanaf Fadera from the Gambian Navy as the alleged ringleader of the plot, Corporal Mbara Ture from 1st Infantry Battalion, Yundun Barracks, Corporal Ibrahim Asano from the military police who is currently on study leave, and Sergeant Gabriel Dabo from the Gambian Navy. The apprehended soldiers are currently helping the military police with their investigation. Meanwhile, alleged soldiers involved in the plot, either being pursued or on the run, are Corporal Njai B from the State Guard Battalion, Warrant Officer Class 2, Jadama from the Gambian Navy, and one Baji from the Gambian Navy. First names of Jadama and Baji are yet to be established. Investigations into this matter are continuing, and members of the public would be accordingly informed of any developments as the situation unfolds. Citizens, residents, and members of the diplomatic and consular corps are urged to carry on with their normal activities as the situation is under total control and there is no need to panic. Signed by Ibrahim Aji Sankare, the government spokesperson and presidential diaspora advisor.
Mr. Ju.
Now this is an updated version. At least they've mentioned names now.
Okay.
In this one.
Mr. Ju, when it comes to intelligence gathering or any investigative strategy, right? So now let me ask you this. You just finished reading that, right? In that statement, all you read was names. Oh, so and so and so. Now, that doesn't mean that they did it, right? When I'm talking,
like the first time they spoke and they said, okay, there's an alleged coup. I mean, some people are arrested and others are on the run. So now they've at least taken it further by telling you names of 4 people. And in fact, the alleged ringleader, Lance Corporal Sana Fadera, who they said is the ringleader.
Let me, because I'm here to give you my professional opinion.
Yes.
Okay. And from an investigative standpoint, right? Let me give an example. That oh, you came to my house. Oh, so and so came to my house, and we went after them. We investigated. So and so. We mentioned names, right? I'm talking about the facts, right? For example, right? If that was me, if I was in the military or part of the military intelligence, right? When you receive initial information about a coup plot, it hasn't yet happened yet, right? It hasn't yet happened, right? As a responsible investigator, right? What you do, right? Remember, I told you earlier that they needed to consult the SIS, right? Well, let's just say what you said, like as an intelligence officer, right? As an intelligence officer, from an investigative standpoint, if you receive information that there's a threat to national security, you don't jump into conclusion. That's what I'm saying.
But how sure are you that they jump to conclusion?
Because
you say that these names are cooked up names?
No. See, that's where the information, that's where the misunderstanding is. I'm going by the statement that they have made. Right now, right? They have lost the opportunity to gather physical and digital evidence because they have contaminated the investigation.
How did they contaminate it? Can you break that down for
us? Then if the investigation, if they had anything, they wouldn't come up with new committee who would go investigate within 30 days. Anybody would tell anybody with their right, like in their right mind, would tell you that doesn't make sense, right? Because if what I'm saying here, if they had gathered all the facts, number one, Mr. Momodou Lamin wouldn't have been detained for more than 72 hours. And the questions that
we are going to come to solve this case. Still now, I'm talking about the statement that the government made. They released one, and then they updated it now, providing names. So your take on this one is that, I mean, they don't have enough evidence still.
They don't have enough evidence because based on this statement, right? If they have enough evidence, anybody in their government can come and challenge me. I'm telling you right now, based on this statement, it's based on speculation. And if you listen to the new appointed security advisor, his statement, if you listen to it carefully, you would know that they have no physical or digital evidence that ties these people to the crime. Because if that was the case, all the commotion that's going on and the whole time wouldn't happen. Like any responsible investigator, they would have done it differently. They would have used proactive investigative method, not reactive. The way they investigate in this situation, that's what I'm talking about right now. The way they investigating this, they used the wrong investigative method. They use reactive investigation.
So tell us the proactive. What would have been a proactive method of investigation?
That's what I've been trying to explain to you this whole time. Because but you focus on the statement. That's the anybody can come out and make a statement.
Yes, but that's what they are telling us. So you, as an expert, should be able to decipher the statement for us.
That's what I'm trying to do. But if you don't let me do that,
you have to go to the statement, obviously, because that's.
But then that's a statement. That's what I'm saying. Anybody can say anything. Anybody can come out and say, "Oh, by the way, we have arrested so and so and so," because that's what used to happen during Yajam's regime.
So are you saying these are cooked up names?
These are names without supporting evidence. That's what I'm saying. I'm talking about evidence.
I have seen somebody who said their brother is at the university studying and doing his thing, and then he was arrested. He knows that his brother is not involved in any type of coup, but he was arrested. I mean, as somebody that's allegedly involved in.
That's exactly my point.
Like then, I mean, they have actually made some arrests because family members have come out to say that this is my family member and he's been arrested.
Mr. Juve, anybody can get arrested, right?
So are you still saying that you don't have time? Those getting arrested?
Same thing. It's like
it's a plot.
It's a plot, and they're not doing their homework. They're undermining our intelligence system.
At the TRRC,
yes,
soldiers sitting down and people in the military and security officers sitting down and confessing and talking about how they incriminated Langton Monkapa, how they were set up, how they were sent, and evidence, and like created a scenario, came to testified in court and all of that eventually got these people convicted. So are you saying that in this case, Lolo Mohel?
I'm not saying in this case Lolo Mohel, because they're still conducting the investigation. I'm saying, in my professional opinion, the way the investigation is being handled is not how it's supposed to be. Okay. Now, I cannot make my final determination until they come back with the 30 days of investigation. Then I can finally make my...
Let me read that statement to you. It's very important to, follow this. We are on the Gambian Talents TV. Pa Usman Diouf behind the microphone, and our guest is Momodou Lamin Faye, who of course has a security background and is here to decipher. He wants to decipher the current alleged military coup plot that's happening. Now, on the 22nd, the government came out with a different or an updated version, says update on the alleged coup plot.
Okay.
Banjul, the Gambia. The public is informed that one of the soldiers sought for alleged involvement in the foil coup plot. Corporal Babukar Njai of the State Guard Battalion was apprehended at dusk yesterday and is currently detained at a secure military location. Meanwhile, the search for Baji and Warrant Officer 2, Lamin Dadama, continues. They just came out with this statement, still signed by Ibrahim G. Sankare.
Again,
your take on this one. They just came to update the public that one more person
has been arrested. Again, Mr. Juve, anybody can go and get arrested. Like anybody can be arrested, right? If you're in the Gambia, you can be arrested for whatever information, right? Again, I know you said we're gonna get into that, but I would like to use Mr. Sabali's example here, right? So let's just say Mr. Sabali was arrested based on 15-second statement that he made during his whatever TikTok speak that he made, right? Now, from an investigative standpoint, they were not wrong for bringing him for questioning. The only part that they were wrong about was this: after bringing him for questioning, and they did not have further evidence to support that he was involved in this coup, they should have let him go, right? Now that's how you respect your justice system, right? So he's not. According to so far what they've gathered, and the reason why he was arrested, he's not part of the coup. But yet still he got arrested, and his constitutional right got violated. Right? That's what I'm saying. You can keep saying, "Oh, look, the government said this, government said it," but I am focused on the facts. Tell me, how do we link to the crime? Any person, any person with security background, this is a question they will first ask. Like Honorable Ali Fasala, he said, "Show me evidence that these people were part of the coup." I'm not saying this did not happen, because I have no evidence that did not happen. But based on what they're saying, there's a glitch on that, because they're not providing physical or digital evidence that link these people to this alleged coup. That's what I'm talking about. But you keep focusing on they made a statement, they made a statement. Anybody can make a statement.
I will have to interrogate that. Right. These are the sequence of events. What we are seeing and hearing is what I am. Matter is in court, and we cannot. Not in court. Actually, it's under investigation, and we have to respect that. But what already came out in the public domain is what we are deciphering here is what we are breaking down for the ordinary people, and you give your advice on that. Your expert opinion on that matter. Now we've seen the 3 press releases. It's actually 4 is the one I was looking for right now. The 3 press releases that came out of government. On a separate note, as you have mentioned, 2 days after this alleged coup report, we have seen on social media, Momodou Sabali wrote on his platform that he was called for questioning at the police station, and he was headed there. Now he was left there for several days, and there were lots of public opinion about it. And the military came out, as you stated, that and statements came out. Word on the street was that Sabali was linked to the coup because he had a conversation he had with the UDP TikTokers, a 10 or to 11 minutes, video in which he was talking to the social media or UDP TikTokers wing.
Right.
And a few seconds of that audio,
50 seconds.
Yes, he mentioned how UDP would likely take the government Barrow before the local government elections.
Right.
And he was arrested.
That's what I'm saying. As an investigator, right, from an investigative standpoint, right?
First question.
Yeah.
Should Sabali have been arrested?
No, he should have brought in for questioning. There's a difference between being arrested and questioning. Let's just say, it's just kind of, let me give you a great example here. I see you and your neighbor are fighting, and you made a statement and say, how big different
That's a threat.
No, but wait a minute.
Yes,
we know it's a threat, right? But hear me out for a minute about just look at it from an investigative standpoint, right? As an investigator, if I come to that scene and I do my like interviews with the neighbors and stuff, and somebody mentioned, oh, by the way, yesterday you said this, right? I'm not gonna arrest you. I'm gonna call you in for questioning.
Okay.
When I question you, as if you're a great investigator, right, or somebody who knows how to question people, based on that interview, you should be able to gather whether you have circumstantial evidence that this person was involved, right? So if you don't have any further evidence, because at this point all I have is that information, that threat that you made up to your neighbor, right? But then if I call you in and question you and interview you, and then you talk to me and explain what you mean and stuff, if I don't have further evidence to support that you involved in this case, I should not hold you, right?
So however, my question that if Sabali should have been called for questioning,
yes,
it's
based on whatever was going on, because this statement, I know people are saying, oh, it's just 15 minutes. But again, when it comes to investigative standpoint, there's no such thing as things being coincident or things being out of or things things being taken out of context. You have to gather the facts. You look at it here, even cover in the gap in it, at 2 feet. Sometimes your fingerprints, right? But even if they find fingerprints, because the law is so structured here, they're just not going to charge you. Sometimes they will let you go home while they're still conducting the investigation, right? Because they want to make sure they get it right. They want to make sure they don't contaminate and compromise the investigation. So they give you the opportunity to go.
So, but COPE is huge.
It is huge. It is.
I mean, a government that is elected barely a year into office, and they should they have a 5-year mandate.
Right.
So, Sabali making this statement, he didn't say how.
Okay. Yeah.
In the statement, and we'll play the audio.
Right.
Let's take it.
Adum ba fala mole. Ka fa ko UDP ko len den dir lati. O man ti membe sabatrinde. Men kan ndiro ke TikTok ndol nga wala ne wala UDP den to nya fam fani ya. UDP jang malak ndiro ke jan TikTok. Ani bo killing bari kan to le tumi kan to le chudi. Saying alto le dukolen al ninte pour ka to nya sabati ni membe UDP ko bunya patiolem, horomo patiolem, Cairo patiolem. Adum be continuer la bari sila patay mo agenda wa fi UDP ka UDP lu ya agenda me ya longa manke UDP ko jikoti. Ndewa kala patanke. Massive aggressive campaign be wala kala. Massive aggressive recruitment drive MARD wala kala mi banko tala adama blogule hani jani carte fayo be sila hani jani local government election be sila mi banko wala adama blogule kati be mena wala disinformation kam ka patio totinya patio me yalon ko barako patio len duwa patio len adu patio fanga ya pamandile ko barako patio duwa patio len ka ni wonte yim patio fata.
So you had the statement,
right?
I mean, of course, for the purpose of time, we cannot play the entire, message. But of course,
just 15 seconds,
yeah,
right.
In which he is saying that the government, he didn't mention how they will do it. Definitely before the election, they would take the government from Barrow. Okay, so you think like that's a serious threat, or it's not a serious?
No. See, you cannot be dramatic when it comes to investigation. All right. And then one of the mistakes that investigators make in Gambia, they only focus on evidence that could incriminate somebody or implement somebody on like in a case or whatever. And in an investigation, you have to look at both sides. You also have to look for evidence that could rule the person out.
Oh, okay.
You know what I'm saying?